Steve, John.
Hello.
Hey, Stacy.
Hello.
I'm trying to see which glasses I can see with. That's pretty terrible. Maybe I'll go with these. We'll see. I have a problem. I may have to change them out. That's terrible when you get going in age and eyes and everything.
Mhm.
Oh,
The first thing to go.
yeah, well, I've been wearing glasses for a very, very, very long time. I used to wear contact lenses and then I just I think I got lazy and not wanting to deal with them. Plus, I just like glasses. I think they're cool. So
I did too. I wore them for 4 years and it got to the point where sticking something cold into my eyes first thing in the morning was not an appealing.
exactly.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, how are you, Dr. Butcher?
Good. How are you? Hello, Dr.
wonderful.
Former. So glad you could join us today.
Hello, Dr. Butcher. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Good.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Don Parker.
Hello, Miss Nannette.
How are
We
you?
are so excited you're our host today.
Well,
Everybody in the office is,
I'm a
we gotta
host, but-
sign in, Nannette's speaking.
well, I hope to be able to say something.
I have no doubt that you will say something, and it will be good.
Thank you.
Bill, love that green.
Mhm.
Thank you. Matches my eyes.
Mm.
Welcome, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Really good.
Good.
I do some head nods. All excited to hear from Dr. Glenn today. I know I
Yes.
am. Yes. I am definitely excited. So we'll take a few minutes to let everyone pile in. So while we do, everyone just drop in the chat. I know for many of us, it's week 0. And sometimes stress level can be a little high for week 0 and sometimes not. But everybody, if you will, just drop in the chat one word that describes how you are feeling this week or how you're feeling currently today. Happy. Good, Dawn. I'm so excited that you are happy today. Let's see. Oh, nice. Aisha said satisfied. Alicia said blessed. George, you're cold. Where are you?
We're here in Waco in Region 12, and the room temperature is about 55 degrees Fahrenheit. It's cold.
Oh, the room temperature is 55 degrees.
It's cold. Anyway, Lori had to offer me her jacket, but I was too embarrassed to take it.
That's funny. That is funny. I'm sure it would be cute on you, George. I see peaceful, hopeful, grateful, awesome, good, thankful, relieved. Carissa said hurried. I get that completely. Great. There's no more hell for now. Okay, good, Dr. Glenn. I'm concerned about that too. My husband and I do not park in our garage. Our garage is kind of a storage space for us. But I told them last night we need to move those cars into the garage. And of course, we haven't done that. So I hope that we don't see any hell coming this way.
And we're supposed to have some this afternoon, so.
Oh, well, we better start moving some stuff around.
Cars.
we better get to moving. All right, so guys, we're gonna go ahead and, oh, I'm sorry. Did someone else say something? Go ahead, George, go ahead. Okay, all right, we'll keep moving. All right, gang, it is Women's History Month. This is MERG Monthly Discussion. And as you guys know, our overall objective is to continue to motivate change on our campus. And we do that through dialogue every month. And Dr. Glenn has been so gracious to be our guest speaker today. We're excited. Let's give her a Zoom applause. Yay, on today. I'm going to introduce Dr. Glenn. She is going to talk about her topic for the day is telling our story. And she is going to share about some impactful women that have done some amazing things in our era. But I want to start off by talking about her. Okay, so I will do an introduction of Dr. Nannette Glenn. I learned some things about Dr. Glenn this week, and hopefully you all will learn some things about her as well. So we'll go ahead and get started, and I'll share a little bit about her, and then Dr. Glenn, I will pass it off to you. And if you want to, once I pass it off to you, if you want to share your screen and jump into anything that you want to present today, that would be great.
Thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. All right, so Dr. Nannette Glenn, Dean of the College of Graduate and Professional Studies at Abilene Christian University, Dallas, is a lifelong educator. Her career in education began in the classroom, and she progressed through education roles as a K-12 administrator and Texas Education Agency program consultant before becoming an administrator and faculty member in higher education. Dr. Glenn has worked in several public, private, faith-based HBCUs and proprietary universities and has served in various roles as a department chair, a program director, dean, vice president of academic affairs, and as an interim campus president. She has presented at many local, state, and national events for almost 2 decades and enjoys learning new methods and coaching and training faculty to help underserved students, especially adult learners, which we know is our population here at ACU Online. A few of Dr. Glenn's achievements are she is a recipient of 2 national fellowships, one with the prestigious Education Department Center in Boston, Massachusetts, and the other with the National Alliance of Black School Educators. And she also has become a nationally certified trainer with the Collegiate Alliance. And her most recent accomplishment was being a member of Cohort 3, where she was one of 30 recipients from around the world selected to become a part of the University of Pennsylvania's Education Entrepreneurship Program. Dr. Glenn is an ordained minister. She loves her church, and she serves as an altar minister and small group leader there. In her spare time, she enjoys playing with her granddaughter, Ava, crafting, and I thought this was interesting, and visiting antique malls because she enjoys the learning. She enjoys learning the history and use of things. Dr. Glenn, thank you again for joining us. We're excited to have you, and I will pass it over to you at this time.
Thank you, Crystal, and hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I'm happy to be here, and as we begin this 2023 Women's History Month, the theme of this year is celebrating women who tell our stories. That's our national theme. Each year, as we celebrate this wonderful occasion, many people will discuss the social, economic, cultural, scientific, and political achievements of women in our society. While we have come a long way, we still have a long way to go. For purposes of my presentation today, I would like to take a different perspective of discussing women's history, and I hope you enjoy it. So for our agenda today, we're going to have a little fun. We'll start off with a little game, and I'll explain that in just a minute. I'll talk a little bit about Women's History Month in terms of its origins, and then I'll talk a little bit about my story, and then your story. And so after we do the game, then I will put my presentation up so that you'll be able to see it. So let's have some fun. We're going to play some Jeopardy. There are 5 categories worth up to 500 points. I hope none of you have already found the game, but it is, I'll need Crystal to help and maybe somebody else, one other person, to read in the chat, because that's where I'm going to ask you to put your responses. And whoever has a correct answer first, we'll add those up, and whoever ends up that has a more point will get the prize. I'm giving away a $75 gift card to Massage Envy, to the person with the highest number of points, and at the end of the game. So remember, you must give your response in the form of a question. If you don't, Crystal will take the next person who has the right answer in the form of a question. Does anybody have any questions? And men, please feel free to play, because I know you can get a massage too if you want.
And Dr. Glenn, I think Stacy will be my partner in fielding those questions in the chat, or those answers in the chat. Thank you,
Okay,
Stacy.
let me pull the game up and share my screen, and we'll be ready to go. So we're not going to do teams on this one. We'll just, this is every man or woman for himself or herself. All right. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we'll get started. And I'm not going to be looking at these, so Crystal, you may need to tell me when we are ready to go on to the next question, because we have a right answer. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so our categories are American history, military history, politics, entertainment, and sports. So I will read the question off for the points and you will respond in the chat. So we'll take American history for 100. And the answer is, my real name is Elizabeth Griscom. I'm credited for being the first maker of the American flag and have a house named after me in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay, we have some answers in. First answer came from Amanda Gibson, and she said, who is Betsy Ross?
Exactly. Who was Betsy Ross? Very good, Amanda. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Let's do military history, 400 points. What month do we celebrate Women's History Month in the U.S. Armed Forces?
First answer that rolled in came in from Maxine, and she said March.
That's incorrect, because
Okay,
it was not in the form of a.
Oh, I'm sorry. She did say, what is March? That's on me.
Okay. What is the month of March? Make sure they're answering with the question. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, let's go to military history for 200. It was in this year, on January 24th, the Pentagon signed an order opening all ground combat missions to women. This order lifted in the 94 rule, which stated that women could not be assigned to units in direct ground conflict. What year was this?
Okay, Alicia says, what is 2021?
Oh.
Okay, Tiffany says, when is 2018?
Let's try one more.
Okay, Megan says, what is 1996?
What is the year 2013?
Okay, I don't see that response from anyone.
Okay, let's go on. Let's do politics for 100. This woman, Democrat from California, became the first woman Speaker of the House of Representatives in 2007.
Amanda says, who is Nancy Pelosi?
That is correct. Who is Nancy Pelosi? Amanda, it sounds like you want to get that gift card.
And Stacy, will you track? You may already be doing this, but will you track the
Yeah,
scores for?
I'm tracking scores.
Awesome, thank you.
Let's do 100, entertainment for 100. In 2012, this actress was entered into the Guinness Book of World Records as the highest paid actress with $56 million. In 2009, she won the award for Best Actress at the Golden Globes, Academy Awards, and the Screen Actors Guild Award for her performance at the blockbuster hit The Blind Side. What is her name?
Tessa says, who is Sandra Bullock?
That is correct. Who is Sandra Bullock?
And I apologize, Amanda actually came in before Tessa with who is Sandra Bullock.
Okay. Well, I guess we could, however you want to decide that, Krista.
I would say that point would go to Amanda.
Okay. All right. Let's do sports for 200. What was a professional tennis player? Who was a professional tennis player who won the Battle of the Sexes against Bobby Riggs in '73 and is a founder of the Women's Tennis Association and Women's Sports Foundation?
Dr. Cole buzzed in first with who is Billie Jean King.
That is correct. Who is Billie Jean King? Very good. Let's go to American history for 300. The first woman to win a Pulitzer Prize in 1921 for her novel, The Age of Innocence. This book inspired several stage and screen adaptations and can be attributed to as a model for the popular Gossip Girl series of books. Is it A, Maya Angelou, B, it should be C, Alice Walker, B, Edith Wharton, or D, Emily Dickinson?
Okay, Dr. McMichael buzzed in with who is Edith Wharton?
And she is correct. Very good, very good. All right, let's see. Let's do politics for 200. In 2009, this former senator from New York became the U.S. Secretary of State, making her the first American First Lady ever elected to a national office.
Okay, Dr. Maxwell buzzed in with who is Clinton? I assume she means Hillary Clinton. And actually, forgive me, let me go up. It was actually George Saltzman who said who is Clinton.
Okay,
sorry, it scrolled up too fast. George gets that.
Very good. Thank you. All right, let's do military history for 300. In 1950, women comprised less than 2% of the military. Today, what is the estimated percentage of women in the U.S. Armed Forces? A, 30%. I don't know why they have C here. 11%, B, 25%, or D, 19%.
Okay, Megan actually buzzed in with who is 11%. I'm sure she means what is 11%. Will you accept that, Dr. Glenn?
Yes. Okay, let's see if that's the right answer because I don't know it myself. 19%. Oh, sorry.
Dr. Cole had it, but it wasn't in the form of a question. Actually, Amanda, I see now, actually did have what is 19%, so that point can go to Amanda.
Okay. All right, let's see. I'm trying to watch our time here. Let's do entertainment for 300. In 2011, women comprised this percentage of all directors, executive producers, writers, cinematographers, and editors working on the top 250 domestic grossing films. Was it A, 0%, B, 100%, C, 50%, or D, 18%?
All right, first answer that rolled in was Erica, and she said, what is D?
Okay, let's check that. What is D?
Great job.
18%. Very good. Okay, let's do a couple more so we can move on. Let's do politics. I am the first woman and first African-American to serve as provost of Stanford University and later became Secretary of State.
Okay, let's see. Dr. Maxwell says, who is Hill?
Who is who?
Hill. I don't have a first name.
Any other?
And okay, Alicia Ramirez says, who is Condoleezza Rice?
Who is Condoleezza Rice is correct.
Awesome.
All right, and we'll do two more and then we'll move forward. Let's do 500 for American history. In this year, Congress declared March as National Women's History Month. Since this date, a special presidential proclamation is issued every year which honors extraordinary achievements of American women. Is it A, 1987? Well, C, 1980, B, 2000, or D, 100 BC?
The first answer was Brandy Chalmers, and she said, what is 1980?
What is 1980? Read the question.
Okay, the next answer is from Alicia, and she said, what is 200? Okay, the next answer is from Megan, and she says, what is C?
What is C?
Which is also 1980.
Yeah.
And then the next one is from Erica, and she said, what is 1987?
And the answer is, what is the year 1987? Very good.
I also wanted to note that Erica responded with what is D 2 questions ago, and D was actually the right answer for that. And so if we can give Erica points for that one as well. Stacey, was the question where the answer was 19%. So whatever that number was, if you'll credit Erica as well.
Yeah, I gave Erica credit. I think she only got one question. That's what I have noted down.
She actually got 2.
Okay, but I don't know what the points were on that.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
Was it Alicia's?
It was the one where Amanda Gibson got the credit for answering 19%, but Erica had responded what is D, and D was actually the right answer. I just missed that one.
Okay, I think that was 300 points.
Okay.
So am I taking it from Amanda?
I wouldn't take it from Amanda, but I would give it to Erica.
All right, got it. So Erica got this one as well. And how many points? Was this 500 points? I think it was.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So right now, Erica is leading. If she got 3 questions.
Steven says we need instant replay.
Right, we do. Right.
Okay, well,
Hey, those answers rolling quickly.
we'll do one more for a tiebreaker, or just that so that we can be fair. And let's do entertainment for 400. This American television host, philanthropist, entrepreneur, and media personality was born in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. I don't know how to pronounce that. Her first movie debut in 1985 was in The Color Purple. At the end of the 20th century, Life magazine listed her as both the most influential woman and the most influential Black person of her generation. And in a cover story profile, the magazine called her America's most powerful woman. Who am I?
All right, Maxine buzzed in first with who is Oprah?
Okay, let's try that. Who is Oprah Winfrey? All right, very good. Okay, thank you so much for participating in this. And we'll have Crystal and work up your
Stacey?
scores, and we can know at the end of this time who's going to get what they need. So I'm going to stop sharing that so that I can pull my presentation in.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Glenn. And I did also want to acknowledge that Dr. Kenyatta Farmer is here on the call with us. I knew that she was going to be joining us today. She did the spoken word for us at A Taste of Soul last week and was amazing. I know I definitely have at least one of those pieces that I want to Google and try to find online so I can hear it again. But I just wanted to acknowledge her. And Dr. Butcher, do you, is there a certain time that Dr. Farmer is going to hop in and speak?
At the end, after Dr. Glenn is finished. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Butcher.
All right. So I will share my screen again. And for some reason, I'm having some wonky issues with my presentation. So I hope you'll be able to see it. Okay. Can everybody see that? Very good. Okay, thank you. So when we think about the timeline and how all of this started, International Women's Day is the impetus for Women's History Month. And International Women's Day began in 1914 as a response to a suffragist march in London, and is now celebrated in many countries. Not every country celebrates it, but many countries do celebrate International Women's Day. As a spinoff from that, Canada was the first to begin Women's History Month, and it was based on basically the formal acknowledgement of women to include women in the legal definition of persons. So women were not considered persons until 1929. And so as a result of that, Women's History Month is celebrated in Canada for the month of March, but particularly for Persons Day, which they celebrate on October 18th. In the United States, we did begin with Women's History Week in 1980, and then President Carter signed a proclamation acknowledging Women's History Month in 1987, and every president since then has declared that we celebrate and all of that. So 1987 in the United States was when we actually started our Women's History Month. And again, the only other countries that celebrate a Women's History Month for the month of March are Australia and in the United Kingdom. And I think that's really, really important for us to note, because I know this is some work that still needs to be done, that we still need to understand. And as I stated earlier in my introduction, I am looking at women's history from a different perspective, from the perspective of identity and who we are. And so I'd like to read this quote to you. It says, "Every person holds more than one identity, and all of these identities come to affect how a person perceives themselves and how they navigate the world through a framework of understanding for them." So it's really important to think about it. And when I think about identity, it is important to note, for me to note, that our identity is what forms us, what makes us who we are, and what oftentimes makes us take the actions that we take. When you look at this slide, you can see that I have pictures here of women. And on the left side here, we can see that as women, we see many facets of womanhood, like a brilliant diamond that has been perfectly cut, perfectly shaped, and formed under intense pressure. As women, we are older. We're older women, we're grandmothers, we're sisters, we're daughters, we're mothers, wives, perhaps, and even those who are under persecution for their beliefs or lifestyles, or we are abused and hurting. These journeys we have been on have contributed to who we are, and it is important to understand and recognize that every woman has a little girl inside of her who has encountered many things in life that have helped to shape her life. As little girls, we want to run and we want to play and enjoy life, and that is at the crux of our womanhood. So you can see here that I have the two little girls on the left, and they're probably wanting to just run and play and have fun. That's who we are. When we look at, when I look at my identity, for me, it's clearly seen. I see it in my eyes. That's why I have the picture of the eyes there. And then my little girl, who has also shaped my life, that is me under that picture. Little girl, I think I was 2. And as a Christian woman working at a Christian university, I wanted to share this perspective with you today on identity, and who we are or who we should be. As a Christian woman, my identity is in Christ, and I see my womanhood being aligned to 4 women I'm going to present to you today. I think it's important to note that the characteristics of these women that they represent are found in many women, if not all women, and they are important for me to discuss today. So I want to introduce you to these women. So we have Deborah. And Deborah, I've put these kind of categorical names with her: multi-talented, wise, spirit-filled leader. And Deborah, we find her story in the book of Judges. And she is a woman who was caught up in the things of fairness and wisdom, and people came to her for all of the things that she needed to give to them. Even Barak, the general of the Israelite army, came to her, and he said he would not go into battle if she didn't go. She was one who we see that wisdom and leadership, and this is how I think what she has portrayed is come to be very important in my life too, because I try to operate in wisdom. I try to operate in being led by the Spirit of God and a leader to do what I need to do to help people. And so I think Deborah shows that we really, really need to have this. Most of us who are on this call are women of leadership. You're leading in some form or fashion. And so characteristics that she portrays, you find as well in yours. Then we see Ruth. Ruth's determination to move to a foreign land with her mother-in-law reveals an acceptance and commitment to a cross-cultural relationship that was permanent and faithful. During a period of history when their 2 countries, Ruth and Naomi, were ethnically divided against one another, their faithfulness, their friendship, relationship was very important. And I see that this is important in my life, where I need to be in touch, just as you do, with others, where we move across lines and have friendships and committed relationships to other people. Oftentimes you find women who can be catty or who can be jealous or portray those types of characteristics. And that is not what we need to have. Genuine reconciliation happens when a relationship has a commitment to resolve differences. It is unrealistic to suppose that friendships crossing barriers of cultural, race, or gender are easily achieved. They're not. But it takes a Holy Spirit-born reasoned commitment to understand and love other people, especially in a cross-cultural relationship such as Ruth's and Naomi's. Such relationships can be successful when we determine that in Christ, we can overcome the barriers between love, and in spite of our personal or social differences, enjoy that relationship of love. The next person I want to briefly talk about is Rahab. A lot of people would probably ask me, why would you put Rahab in this history because of her background and things? Well, Rahab represents most all women in one way or another. She was a known harlot, not that most women were known harlots, but she was a known harlot. But as a Canaanite, she was a priestess of that religion, and her position was respected in pagan society. She was perceptive. She said to the 2 Israelites that she hid on a roof that she knew that the Lord had given them the land and the terror had fallen on them, on her people, the Canaanite people, and everybody was afraid because of their Lord. And she knew that the Lord, their God, he was a God of heaven and he was a God of earth. So her perceptiveness and ability to convince the king's messengers would ultimately end up in having her being a forgiven person, and she will be remembered because of her acts with these Israelites, and because she was in the lineage of Jesus Christ. So it's important to know that any mistakes that we make, those mistakes, if we don't deal with them, take root, and we never forgive ourselves for the things that we have done. However, our God is a forgiving God. And if we are a child of God and have come into the family of God, he will forgive us of that sin and won't remember them anymore. As women who have past histories, we must forgive ourselves for those mistakes or bad choices we have made, because it is the only way that we will walk into our future, our destiny that God has for us. And then the last woman I would like to talk about is Esther, a woman rising to meet her destiny. She was courageous, obedient, and destined. Esther was a Jewish orphan, a virtually non-entity raised by her uncle Mordecai, and with no particular promise of a bright future. As with Esther, God opens destiny to any person who will keep his priorities. Even in the presence of recognition, success, wealth, and luxury, an environment many women covet even today, but which has so often provided destruction or destructive points for us, Esther retained her sense of perspective and integrity. In Hebrew, her name was Hadassah, which means myrtle, which referred to a beautiful evergreen shrub which doesn't wither. As her name fit her person, she was courageous and obedient even when she faced death. Against the darkness threatening her Jewish people, Esther's beauty, grace, and character was bright and unwavering as a star, which is the meaning of her name in Persian. Esther believed God, not that her beauty had put her on the throne, and she did not sway from her will to lay down her life for others. As women, we must not look to using our feminine wiles or our beauty to get ahead in life. Beauty fades, and there will always be someone smarter than you are. We should look to those characteristics that make us who we should be: loving, kind, considerate, and humble. This doesn't mean that we are to be the rug under someone's feet, but our identity in Christ gives us power, confidence, strength, and wisdom. Those are the characteristics we should strive for. So in looking at these women and understanding my identity, there are 5 things that grounds my identity that I would like to share with you and talk a little bit about. So the first one is knowing my worth, knowing your worth. My worth comes from who God says I am. He is the only one who can provide that for me. Where does your worth come from? As we work in an environment that sends the message that we are Christian, a Christian university, it's in our name, where does our worth come from? The second one is to know your enemy. I know that my enemy doesn't want me to know who I am. He doesn't want me to recognize that I am God's child, and he will send distractions my way to try and get me off track from where God wants me to go and what he wants me to do. Do you know your enemy? Is your identity fractured when adversity comes? You must know your enemy and be ready to remember your identity and whose you are. The third one, grow into your identity. We don't receive our identity immediately, like jumping from 0 to 10 in 1 second. Women have gone through challenges, struggles, adversity, good and bad times, and had ended up with someone within them that has had to grow into the person they are. We are still growing in our identity, even years later in life, because we are learning more and more about ourselves, what is important to us now versus then. We must stretch and grow, encounter life, and continue to understand our identity and who we are. And then fourth, your destiny awaits. I believe I know my destiny, but I'm still encountering life, and I just keep pressing forward. Do you know your destiny? How do you know it? Finally, loving and helping others is the fifth part of my grounding. If we profess to be Christians, we must learn how to love and help others, especially those who don't have the means to help themselves. One of my favorite Bible verses is Mark 12:30 and 31, where Jesus was asked, what is the greatest commandment? And he says to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love thy neighbor as thyself. We can't love and help others if we don't love ourselves. And we can't love ourselves if we don't know our identity. So given that, I want to go to a little exercise. And this is the next step in understanding. This is part of your creative self. You're going to create an identity statement. We're not going to be able to do this all today, but there are 4 questions here that I would like for you to write down and think about your identity, who you are, what you are called to do, what gifts you have, and how you are called to use these gifts. That's important. It's important for us to know that and to walk in that, so to speak. So I have my identity statement here that I created some time ago, and I would like to read it to you. I'm not trying to insult your intelligence, but I think it's when you say things, they have power. So my identity statement: as a daughter of the Most High God, my identity is rooted and grounded in Jesus Christ. I am called to the nations as a leader, influencer for the kingdom, author, speaker, teacher, and preacher of his word. I use these gifts to provide coaching, counseling, mentoring, education, and training from a Christian worldview. With the gifts of prophecy, word of knowledge, and particularly pastor teacher, I have been called to help women, especially hurting women, discover who God created them to be, to help them become empowered, equipped, and transformed to make a substantial impact in the lives of their families and communities for the kingdom of God. This is very important to me. It's a part of my nonprofit organization that is called She Connects Ministries. And it is what I believe in. I try to say this every day, or at least some part of it, so that I can remember this and I can have it in my heart and in my mind to say. So I know we won't have time to do this today, but I would love to follow up with some of your identity statements to hear how you think about this. I think it's important for us to know as a university, as a Christian university, that we have identity. Our identity is unlike others, and we have a mission, and it's important for us to know that. As women, I think it's very, very important for us to be able to walk in this with confidence, power, and self-assurance. And so finally, I'd like to just summarize my presentation for you today. And I'd like to say that as women, we wear many hats, some at the same time, some while tossing things in the air simultaneously, and some after we are tired and weary, but we still wear them because it's a part of our identity. My point of this presentation was to talk about identity and tell my story. Your story may be different, but it is still your story. Know your identity, not just the superficial one, and you can tell your story. Tell it well, tell it often, Tell it until someone listens. Peace and grace to you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Glenn. That was powerful. I really enjoyed that. And undergraduate team, I have already screenshot Dr. Glenn's identity statement instructions, and we will be going over our identity statements over the next week. So get ready. I do want to stop. I know a few people here are probably new to MERG monthly discussions and possibly new to the whole idea of MERG, may not know what on earth we are talking about when we say MERG. And so MERG is our minority employee resource group here at ACU. We launched a couple of years ago to provide a place of belonging and shelter and advocacy for employees of color here at ACU. We have friends of MERG and we have members of MERG. So no matter who you are, there's a way to plug in, and we want you to be a part of what we do and who we are. And so if you have any questions, our director of membership is Dorothy Peshoff. Please connect with Dorothy. She will help you get up and going in MERG. And at this time, I want to pass it over to Dr. Butcher, who will bring in Dr. Kenyatta Farmer for our special presentation.
Thank you, Crystal. Dr. Glenn, in observance of Women's History Month, we just wanted to take time to say thank you. We appreciate you. We love you. You've been an outstanding leader, mentor, role model, and friend to many of us. Last week, many of you had an opportunity to meet and hear Dr. Kenyatta Farmer at the Taste of Soul Luncheon. Dr. Farmer is a 2020 graduate from our EDD program. She was an outstanding student, and today she agreed to be with us to pay tribute to our own Dr. Nannette Glenn. Dr. Farmer, I'll turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. In honor of Dr. Glenn and the women of ACU, I dedicate this piece, an original writing, and I hope you enjoy it. The Valley. When we walk through the valley, God instructs us to fear no evil. His rod and staff, they comfort us. But do we really trust when we're walking through the valley? Let's talk truth, shall we, about the conditions of the valley. The valley has been known to weaken the strongest woman. Frustration sets in. Negative speaking begins, constituted by the cycle of sin through unwholesome words. Now doubt has made its way in. Yet God still calls you friend. Ladies, from the beginning of the Bible to the very end, minor trials, major catastrophes, impossible crises, God instructs us, the women, to not be afraid. This can be a difficult challenge to undertake, especially when we stay focused on past mistakes. I've made my share of mistakes, running from one thing to the next thing, not realizing that the very thing that I'm running from had a tight hold on me, fear. But I want you to take courage, ladies. It is I, said Jesus Christ. Even in death, he has promised to safely take us to an eternal place of security. Ladies of ACU, listeners, do you understand what this means? Regardless of the way the world is trending, the very fact remains. The tomb is still empty. The Prince of Peace has made provision for you. That in itself is good news. We are all abundantly blessed. We don't have to walk around burdened or stressed. We have a choice. Which approach will you take? Will you allow life's uncertainties to burden you down with unnecessary weight? Or will you recognize who you are? You're a child of the Most High. Jesus Christ is the believer's battle cry. He sits on the throne. He reigns as king. This earth will pass away, but I know one thing. He is the Alpha. He's the Omega, the beginning and the end. He sticks closer than a brother, and he calls us his friend. He's our anchor from within. We are called to be salt and light. The Christian's service. So ladies of ACU, Dr. Glenn, when we're walking through the valley and it gets hectic, look the devil in the eye and tell him, you're not nervous. Thank you for listening. I wish peace and blessings amongst you all, and may God keep you and bless you. Thank you.
Wow, Dr. Former, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll turn it back over to Crystal before I start crying. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Butcher. Dr. Palmer, that was beautiful. And in your words, snaps and claps, everyone, right? Snaps and claps. That was absolutely amazing. I just want to say thank you all. Thank you to our Merge Monthly discussion team. I want to say thank you to Jacqueline, who has led this charge and created this foundation over the last 1.5 to 2 years. We celebrate you, Jacqueline. I want to say thank you to Dr. Butcher and to Stacy, who are my right-hand women. And we collectively figure out what we need to do and forge ahead, and the Lord blesses it every time, and I'm grateful for that. And I want to say thank you to everyone in Merge who continually supports this work that we do. Just one more time, if you are interested in being a part of Merge, please connect with us. Please reach out to Dorothy Peshoff. She will definitely get you up and going. Our next meeting, Stacy, help me out. It's in the Merge Monthly newsletter. So if you haven't opened that up, it came out this morning at 10 a.m. Also, there's a video from A Taste of Soul where we got to see a little snippet again of Dr. Farmer and her presentation and all the beautiful vendors and all the food that was there. So if you are interested, open up your Merge Monthly newsletter and it will let you know all of the things that are currently happening this month. And at this time, we can go ahead and wrap unless there's anyone else who would like to share or anyone who has any questions for Dr. Farmer or for Dr. Glenn. Okay, I don't see any. I need to see someone who said, can we get a copy of the spoken word? Yes, we will send out the video of this whole presentation for anyone who is interested. And I pray everyone has a great day. Thanks for joining us. Bye, everyone. All right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and close at this time.
The meeting for all.